We're live. We're live. Excuse me. Yeah. Excuse me. And the chat is on. All right, great. I just got out of makeup. Yeah. All right, well, here we go. Today is, let's see, the 27th of January, 2022. It's pretty late in the, it's pretty late in the month, isn't it? It's the end of the month. So we're looking at February, and March starts getting nice. So we're looking at 6 weeks that we start having some really decent days. Yeah, we got more snow today too. How you doing, Keith? I just ate a bowl of soup. I'm watching a series that I've seen before, but I felt as though I wanted to revisit the series because I've reviewed some of the footage of the truckers' protest in Ottawa. Blue is you. I know. Okay. Nancy's with us. All right. The name of this series, you guys, is Turn. It's on Amazon, and it is about the Revolutionary War. And it's I'd seen it before, probably 4 years ago. My son recommended it to me, and it's one of those things where I feel like I'm educating myself, so I don't feel quite like a slug sitting down in front of the TV, but I'll come in and relax a little bit before I go to bed and watch something like that. But I got to tell you, Nancy, I'm watching what's going on in your country now. And what I am seeing, I don't know, I want to get your take on it because I think it's one of the most encouraging things that I've seen. But to me, where you have all of these people greeting these truckers in the towns that they're going through, you know, giving them food, giving them a place to stay, giving them money to put diesel in their trucks. And the crowds out there just waving Canadian flags. I see a few American flags out there waving. And it reminds me a lot of when the Allied forces liberated France. That's what it looks like. You know, I've never had anything to compare that to. I've seen those reels probably 50 times of Allied forces rolling into France, chasing the Germans back across the Rhine. And just civilian population just bursting in tears and kissing them, and just, I don't know, you know, they seem very similar when you watch them, and then you listen to commentary on it, and people are weeping, you know. So you have to wonder, are we living through some sort of occupation? And I would have to say yes, because the other side is displaying behavior right now that it seems way out of place. It's really hard for me to even comprehend what's going on. But I don't feel like we've done anything wrong. We're just pressing on as Americans. We're pressing on as going to work every day and getting our duty done and doing what we have to do just to make it. It's not like we're living high on the hog. Well, I am. I'm living high on the hog. I haven't bit into that right in quite a while. But let's see what Nancy says here. I am really interested on your take. The truckers are the backbone of our country. We fully support them. The media will try to taint it. They can't hide it anymore. The uprising. The Brothers of Truckers has no boundaries. The USA is coming too. Yeah, there's a lot of trucks from the United States. I have a good friend, confidant, who is a trucker. And he called me last night during the show, actually. And I had to wait until this morning and call him back. But he said that lots and lots of American trucks are being turned away at the border right now. So they're being allowed. And I'm not sure who would be doing that, whether it would be U.S. Border Patrol or Canadian, most likely Canadian. And those are federal troops. So I'm not sure how that works, really. But from what I'm hearing, and maybe Nancy, you can confirm this or tell us it ain't so. The RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, are cooperating with the truckers. They are not stopping them. They are not putting up checkpoints. So I'd kind of like to know that. Yeah. How's Trudeau feeling about this? I would think he's got to be a little nervous, as I think he should be. I don't think there's any stopping this. The last couple of years has hurt. It has stung. And I think I would like to hear what you have to say on that, Jack. Because I have tried to play it through as if it were a chess game. And if the best that Trudeau could hope for, and Biden, actually, I think they're two wings of the same bird, same cuff. And I hope for is, okay, the media doesn't say anything about it. Most Americans don't know anything about it. And they just play out the clock and it just goes away. But the reason why that's not going to happen is a lot of these truckers have no stake in their rig anymore. So they could just as well drive it into Ottawa and throw the keys off the bridge, take their personal stuff out, and that's it. They just got to find a ride home. That's it. So when you're talking 50,000 rigs, and now I'm hearing something like 70,000 because they've really gained up a lot of momentum. You could choke that place down for quite a while, and it's going to have a profound effect. This friend of mine that I talked to this morning, who is a trucker, he said, just everything that's happened to this point, if it all stopped right now, the consequences of this are going to be extremely serious. And you have to look at this and understand that American media is not touching it. Although I did see Laura Ingraham, I just saw it before I came on. She had a thing with some Canadian guy and talking about this on the Laura Ingraham show on Fox News. All right, that's the first scene of it. But what they are not doing is they're not warning Americans that, hey, this is really going to interrupt the supply chain. They're not saying anything about it, because what they're hoping for is that they play out the clock, it comes to an end, everybody goes home, and then they can bear down on their thing, lockdown and this shot, that shot, booster, all the stuff that we're not allowed to talk about on this platform. If you say it, you get flagged. It's quite obvious what's going on right now. I mean, at least to us. But there is a group of people that cannot see this. And some of them are my friends from a long time ago. One of them in particular, last night I posted a funny meme that I thought was hilarious. Neil Young and Joe Rogan was going like this over a grave, and it's everybody knows this story. Rogan said some stuff about curing the Wu flu with hydrochloroquine and ivermectin and all this stuff. And Neil Young, if you don't take him down off Spotify, then you can just take all my songs off there. And so Spotify said, okay, who are you, Neil Young? Most of the people that work at Spotify don't even know who he is, right? And I kind of know who he is, but whatever. I've heard his tunes, but who in the hell does he think he is? I mean, he's a songwriter or a musician. Joe Rogan is not a musician, and Joe Rogan speaks things that are controversial. A lot of them, I believe, are true. I don't know. People have opinions about him, whatever. But apparently Spotify thinks he's worth a damn because they pay him a lot of money. A big contract. Oh, Justin's out in front. He sent me a text a little while ago. He says, "Have you been looking at that blue bus that's down in Ohio that needs a starter?" And I sure had. I looked at this bus. It's got a really nice paint job on the outside, and it's 23 years old. It doesn't say how many miles are on it, but it's got an international motor in it. It looks somewhat nice, but the roof is not insulated, by the way. It's painted, but it's not insulated. But I don't know if that's really critical. And it's not complete, but it does look pretty nice. But the reason why I passed it was because it needs a starter. The guy says, yeah, it's at a storage lot and it needs a starter. And I thought, okay, well, on my way down to Ohio, I'll stop by Napa and buy a starter for an international diesel V8 engine. And then when I get down there, I'll put the starter in, take the old one off and put this one in, and then decide whether I like it or not. I don't know. And we don't know how many miles are on it either. And it's not finished. But the guy wants $7,000 for it. But I think that I would probably say, I will give you $5,000 for it, but I want to look at it first. And if I feel as though I'm going to do this, I want to buy a starter, put it in, and if it runs good, then I will give you $5,000 for it, less the price of the starter motor. Because otherwise, he's just going to sit on it because nobody's But Justin said, well, maybe the starter solenoid is bad. But he says, can we get 70 people to contribute $100 each to the Buy the Bakers a School bus? He's in. The ministry needs a way to spread the word. Right on, man. Sean's in. Let's see where it goes. But anyway, more about this trucker thing. And I know, but maybe I am just a little oversensitive today. Uh, I hit it hard yesterday, and today I found it a little hard to get out of bed, and had a bit of a headache most of the day and stuff, and just haven't been myself. But this has been looming over me, and the whole uh, picture that I see of these truckers going in and just these poor Canadians out there waving their flag and not really understanding liberation. It doesn't seem like they're looking towards the truckers, and but it's a different society than America. But I will say, yes, we can do that. We can start a school bus fund. I will ask for that. I will ask for that put up here. We were going to do a laptop fund until I ran it over. And then it was like, well, we're going to have to dip in the savings to fix that, because I'm on the laptop now and I need it. But anyway, things work themselves out. But that was kind of looming over me today, and I just I'm disappointed in what goes on in our country right now. I think it's quite severe, where they wanted to take us with this. And it feels like they're carrying out very totalitarian orders against the American public. And I don't know what the American public did to deserve this, actually. I think these people are just evil and diabolical, and they want to have total control over the American public. And we don't know the whole story, but I don't like what I'm seeing. The coordination between the media outlets and the blackout for what's going on in Canada it's startling. It is actually startling. But maybe with the breakthrough tonight on the Laura Ingraham show, I didn't actually watch it. I will see if they're trying to soft pedal it. The Canadian, something like that, were saying that the truckers are protesting icy road conditions, right? Yeah, sure. Okay, so I have been in a little bit of a funk today, and it has been like 15 degrees and cloudy. And here I go, Jack. I'm whining a little bit, but this time of the year, sometimes it can be a little difficult to get through. I just have to pick a direction and put my nose down on it and go. And I did that today. I have made some really good headway. A carpenter shop. I've got the floor completely cleared. I've got all the junk out of there and sorted through what we wanted to keep and what we didn't want to keep. And I was merciless with getting rid of stuff. I got two conversations going here. One is kind of it distresses me as an American and an oath taker. It distresses me. And then on the other side, there's Justin is hitting me with this bus idea, which I believe as a with someone with the mission that I have now, that's what I really have to focus on, because that is moving ahead. That is moving ahead. And I'm reading the book that Honey Kafina sent me at Christmas time. I went through about 20 pages of it last night before I went to sleep, and it had a lot to do with farmers who engage in tree cropping, and that you have to be forward looking. And one of the individuals that the author is talking about and got to spend 20 years with, that at the end of his life at age 87, he was still looking forward. He was still planting trees. He never lost sight of the mission, which was, I'll be gone, but these trees that I planted, they'll go on, you know. Very important, I thought, and something I thought that I need to incorporate into what I'm doing, which I believe I am. You know, we're not wanting anyone can farm to be, you know, just one guy or just one small group of people. We are trying to turn this into we're trying to turn this into a an organization that there is independent cells everywhere you go across the United States and across the world. And it's a good idea because there's been a concerted effort to stamp out small farming, you know. And if you think that I'm being overly stating that, why is it we're not hearing the Department of Agriculture coming forth right now and saying, "Oh, by the way, there could be a holdup in food production. Y'all need to start thinking about putting in some victory gardens." Why? Because they're in on it. All right. Can anybody prove me wrong on that? All right. Justin, you can tell he's geeked. He sent me that. All right, let's talk bus. Let's talk bus. Enough of, you know, a lot of these things are going to take care of themselves. As I said yesterday, we can look at this and we can monitor what's going on and see how it's going to affect us. But don't lose sight of what our job is right here. We have a job to do. All right. And, you know, you guys are right. This is the talent that's been given me. I'm still pretty geeked about farming. I still like doing it. I still get a charge out of making something happen and then stepping back from it and being able to enjoy it. I really had a good day today. I really did. I really did. I am the luckiest guy that I can think of. I got to go out and stand around with my cows, and I really like them. You know, I really do like them. I got my son's coming home from the Air Force on Friday. Tomorrow night he'll be home, and so, you know, I might have a short show. He might be coming in after we get done, though. So we'll see how that goes. And I sent him a message because I asked him, "So when are you coming in? What's your ETA?" And he says, "Friday night." And I said, "Good. We'll kill the fatted calf." And he kind of chuckled. And I said, translation, "You're going to help me butcher 2 cows while you're home." Yeah, he gets it. He gets it. I never turn down any manpower when it comes my way. All right, so let's talk bus. The whole idea of the bus is to take the show on the road. It really is. We've been doing really well, and I'm not the kind of guy that is just going to buy a bus and then boom, take it on the road. I'm going to want to wring it out a little bit. It's an older piece of equipment. I want to make sure it's 100% because I'll be taking some of my crew with me. Some of them have to stay here. So I don't really think that this summer too much would happen with it. But the nice thing about the bus is it will go along with the entire program. So the entire program, like Justin, when you were here, you just picked a piece of real estate and set up your camper. But what we want to do is we want to have designated spots where we put some gravel down, we put some rocks there for a campfire. You know, you can stop at the outpost, you can pick up a bundle of logs, whatever, if you want to have a campfire. And then it will not only be for classes, it will be for whenever someone wants to come and stay, you know. It'll be sort of like an Airbnb type thing. And I'm thinking about several campsites on the back 40. And now this wouldn't be like, well, you get to come up and hang out with me all day. I really can't do that because I still have my regular duties to do during the day, which are more than I had before, because Keith is kind of, he's still here, but he's got his thing going on too, which is actually pretty cool what he's doing. And then I'd like to have 5 next door over on Lone Stars, which is actually in the process of being bakers. Side 20 or side 80, right? So we're going to absorb that into the farm, which is kind of nice if you're climbing close to that age where you're going to be collecting your Social Security. Instead of getting me that new pickup, a new pickup these days would be a payment on a big chunk of land like that. And that's something. And a pickup's going to rust and become a pile of nothing in a few short years. But that land was there, 250 years ago, and it'll be there 250 years after I'm done with it, right? So it only makes sense, right? And we want to absorb that into the program, so there could be some campsites over there and things like that. And this is all going to work together. And the first time that I think that we'll have a mass utilization of camping on the farm will be the Tribe Day, which I'm hearing a lot of cool things about. I've had at least 6 parties volunteer to teach classes on the farm. Okay, we'll open the gates a little further. It's a good thing. The best thing that we can do as people that feel needed in this mission or called to this mission is bring them together. This is, how it feels good to get together. I know I do. When we get together for this show and I see these names coming up time and time again, and you're here, it gives me a good feeling. I was waiting for it because I was a little off today. Not just a little, I was quite a bit off, and I was thinking I shouldn't be. I should be okay. I was a little off. That's interesting. I think it would be cool to see a grand total on the GoFundMe. Oh, well, what I was going to say, Justin, was with the bus, while it's sitting on one of the campsites, it can be rented. You can use it for a BRB. We stayed down in Texas at a BRB, and it was just this little bungalow in the back of somebody's property. It was just a tiny little place, like a mother-in-law house. And it had a bedroom and then a fold-out couch in the kitchen, actually. But it was all right. We were just sleeping there at night. And then next to it, they had an RV, like a Dodge, van type RV, older one. And then next to that, a trailer. And there were cars parked in front of them every night when we came home. And we never heard anybody. They never heard us. We were getting in kind of late, actually. So we would try to keep it down, not slam doors when we went in. And so people are into that. I know that when we stayed there, the difference between staying there and staying at the hotels was night and day. Hotels can be really creepy places to go because you just don't know, And yeah, I would like to not have to do that anymore. So, all right, Justin's saying, Abundant Living is saying, I like the bus fund me. We sure can take donations through PayPal. Nancy says, because it grew much bigger than they anticipated, so they're scared now. Yeah, they should be scared. And that's the way it ought to be. When the people fear the government, you have tyranny. When the government fears the people, you have liberty. It's one way or the other. But this relationship between peoples and governments always seems to go south to a point where the government just goes too far, and then there's a bad thing happen, and then it starts over again. And I kind of agree with Jack that this could have a bad outcome. However, if there's a bad outcome, let's say that in Canada something happens to where they use the military, and everybody's got a cell phone nowadays, so they're not going to keep it quiet, right? And there's too many of us watching it. I noticed today that on Facebook, it wasn't there. It was building up to like every third thing was something to do with this, and all of a sudden, boop, it was gone, and then one, and then one, So it's being censored out, but we want to know. We want to know. So they're going to have to take some pretty drastic measures, in my opinion, to get a handle on this. And either way, either Trudeau capitulates or he takes drastic measures, and will he be victorious against 50,000 truckers? How do you it's like you're in a pool and there's 1,000 snakes in there and you've got a Bowie knife. How do you win against that? And I think that this has been thought out very well. And if it happens here in the States, see, this is what if they lose control of it and it spills over into the States, and there must have been some pretty deep thought on this to make this happen in Canada first, right? I think in Canada, their ability to control this was far less than the ability in the United States to control this before it gets out of hand. And now it's happening cross-border. They couldn't use assets from the United States to go over there and help very well. They couldn't do it. And I don't think that they have the monitoring network in Canada that they do in the United States. I just don't think they do. There's vast expanses of open ground in between these population centers. Where in the United States, not so much. Not so much. They have monitoring equipment everywhere in the States. So they might have stood a better chance of getting a handle on it here. But if it does spill over into the United States, which I'm itching for it, who else? Can I see a raise of hands? Let's go someplace this weekend. Let's lock it up someplace. I think that the outpouring in the United States would be huge. It'd be absolutely huge. So I can't see this turning out well for the governments of the world. And you guys know, hey, I'm perfectly honest. I know a lot of my friends on here would not want to hear me say this, but I like to listen to Tarot by Janine. She's a Canadian gal. She's Albertan. And I just think she sounds to me like somebody that's standing on solid ground when she brings up issues and then she talks about them and then she asks her cards. I don't know. I don't know about that, right? I don't know about astrology. I don't know about a lot of stuff, but I like her. And she's one of the few that's still on YouTube, right? Other than that, trying to sift through anything on YouTube is very difficult these days. And if you go over to Rumble, I don't know about you guys, but my phone won't do it. It just quit doing it. I had And We Know over there. Can't get them anymore, right? So I don't really stress over it. I figure that there's a good reason for it. And I just say, okay, well, then I'll fill more sandbags. I'll be hauling water and cutting firewood. When you guys get this straightened out, let me know. And I just do what I'm supposed to do. And if I can't get it, I don't need it, I guess. That's all I do. All right, Justin is saying this. I guess I got to read this. I think it would be cool to see a grand total on a GoFundMe. If we did that, I've seen some really nice school buses that are in the 20,000, 25,000, that are fully outfitted and a family could live in it. And it's dependable. You could take it on the road. And the thing about that is the value stays in that school bus. It's called a schoolie. It stays there. If you bought a comparable priced motorhome, like a Winnebago, they're not built well. And they rattle around and they just come apart going down the road. Every time you go on a trip, you have, another screw that backs out over, another piece of trim comes off or something like that. They're not built the same. And what we're reaping here is our tax dollars that, because of the safety of the children and, the whole school program, we have to have some very rigorous standards for these school buses, but they don't put seatbelts in them. I always kind of wondered, why no seatbelts? Why couldn't each kid have a seatbelt on? But they don't. They don't do that. I don't know why. But a school bus is designed so it can roll over and it will not crush the top end. Did you know that? And then when you look at the drivetrain on it and the frame, it's so overkill. It's not funny. I mean, by the time one of these international engines has, or Cummins, or anything in that class has 200,000 miles on it, it's just like barely broke in. I mean, you could power wash it and you'd say, that's a new engine. You wouldn't even realize they're built to a completely different standard than, the type of engines that we get for regular automotive. So if you went that direction, then you're getting something really nice that the work has already been put into it. Somebody else has put all that labor into it. The reason why school buses are not, the value of them always stays low. Like you could have a really nice one for $25,000, and you look at $25,000 Winnebago, let's say, and it's like, this thing's a chunk of junk over here for 25. Oh yeah, you got to get into the $60,000 range to get something decent. But the school bus is always going to be less. Why? Well, a lot of campgrounds won't let a school bus in. There's just the stigma that goes with it, And so that's the way it is. And so you have a school bus, let's say, but if you're a regular person, you're very limited where you can go with a school bus. Right now, I could be going to Bohem, Alabama, with just the people that I see on here. I could be going to, Sean Wise, I'm not sure where you live. I could be going to Dundee, Michigan. I could be going over to British Columbia. And you know what I'm saying? I could, if it's a fairly self-contained unit, we can just pull up on somebody's farm and like, hey, can we stay here a couple days? Yeah, all right. I'm sure we could get some pretty good accommodations from our tribes people, and it would be neat too, because if we stayed like at Andy's place, and then we did sort of a little, I mean, you could get a real charge out of that if we did just a little, interview with Andy about, hey, what are you doing here? And then walk around with a video camera and kind of show some of the things and, his kids and what they're doing. That would be very warm content for this tribe, I think. And I think it would be fun to do too. All right. Okay, so let's work that GoFundMe thing. Bus Fund Me. Okay. And Justin says, your inspiration needs fuel. You're an amazing mentor and your word needs to be heard. Thank you. It means a lot to me. You know, if it ends tonight, it was like, well, that's good. That's almost like a well done, my good and faithful servant. Thank you. Jill says, just saying the bus would enable us to go to the Bards Fest this June. Talk about an opportunity to share some homesteading love. Yeah, long time ago, I used to tell you guys about Bards FM. He's a GI, Marine, no, Army, and he's a journalist. And he did a couple of combat tours in Afghanistan, but he was used at the S level, I think, or S2 level as a negotiator. And some of the stories that he tells about being way deep behind enemy lines it's phenomenal. But I really like his point of view. He's the real deal. There's no doubt about it. And he invited us out in Oregon. Well, knows the resistance that communicated it, but he said that he wants to come and take some of our classes because he's come to the same place we are, where, hey, you know, there's a few people that have to do some really unique things, but for the masses of us, we need to break away from the system and let the system die. You know, when you think about it, if all of us who have a problem with, let's just say, the public school system, you know, I've shared some of the stuff that goes on around here. You know, I've shared some of that stuff with you. And for me and my family, we just say, nope. We just don't put them on the bus in the morning, right? You stay home. And it's our business. We'll take care of that. And what happens is they lose funding at the school. Well, you know, they've built the place up now to be a huge place that's very expensive to heat, very expensive to man, feed the kids, everything, and cool in the summertime. And now people are pulling their kids out of the school. So what's that mean? Does a building like that function without air conditioning? No, it doesn't. Does it function without heat? Nope. The school that I went to in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, the Beale School, had single pane windows, and I sat near the windows, and the radiators were near the windows. And when the radiators weren't on, you could feel the wind blowing through the windows. And it's not that there was anything wrong with the windows. They just didn't make them that tight in those days. And I still remember looking at those windows saying, they don't even lock. They did not lock. You could have come at night, pushed the window open and got in the school. But why would you? You know, in those days, there was nothing in the school. But that school is still standing there. It's been fixed up and everything. But it was, to today's schools, very inexpensive to run. So, but anyway, my point is that if we pull back from these systems, there's so many of us that the systems will collapse. And then we can restart them on our own terms. Or maybe not. One-room schoolhouse settlements, and the settlements will all be in conjunction with food production, because that's where we're going right now with this trucker thing. You know, we're all just like, hey, there's going to be a big problem. Governments are going to, you know, Justin Trudeau isn't going to go hungry. He's not going to go hungry. He can hold out for a lot longer than the people in Ottawa can. It's going to be tough on the people in that community. And we actually have family there. Yeah, could be very tough on them. But, you know, what does he care? It's pretty obvious that government and this government, they're not getting up in the morning and thinking, what can we do to help our today? If they are, then they're extremely incompetent. I think they put a face on it anymore, you have to be pretty damn gullible to believe what you really do. And I think that governments across the board, if you are in government, I think you're kind of shaky. I heard today that on the Democrat side in federal government, there's 29 positions where House members and Senate members, well, maybe it's just House, they're not seeking reelection. And some of these people, I mean, they haven't been there hardly at all. They've only been there 30 something years, and they're not going to seek reelection. Oof. The implications of that are huge. That speaks volumes. 29 members. Maybe somebody can correct me on that. Yeah. Yeah, I would go to Oregon. I would. I'm certainly not going to fly. And I think that would be kind of neat. Can you see this bus with a nice wrap on it that says anyone can farm tribe? Would that be cool? People would be wanting to get their pictures taken in front of it. Yeah. God is not making any more land. That's the truth. Huh. That would be good, Justin. A basic electrical class. You know, it sounds a little strange at first, but it's really not, because what we believe here is the homesteader really needs to be versed in everything from delivering babies to transmission replacements. And I happen to have done both. Did I tell you guys about the first baby that I delivered? Around here, when the subject comes up, my kids run out of the room because I'll say, did I ever tell you about that? How that happened? My daughter Dorothy, I'll tell you guys just so. Good story. My daughter Dorothy was on the way and we were at the hospital, and Jill was, getting ready to deliver her, and there was the midwife in the room and a nurse and me. And the nurse, her name was Elaine. Her name was Elaine. Same name as my mother-in-law. And this is out in Montana, and you could tell she was, windblown and sandy hair. She was a ranch girl. You could just tell. And so she said, "Oh, so you're in the Air Force, but you have a farm?" I said, "Yeah, I have a farm." So she said, "You raise cattle?" And I said, "Yeah, we have some steers, nothing big. I think I have about 6 of them now." Yeah. "Oh, okay. So you're into this whole birthing thing?" And I said, "Oh, yeah. I, raise pigs. We farrow them all the time. Yeah, I have actually seen a calf born." She says, "So how involved in this process do you want to be?" And I said, "Hey, whatever you need me to do." And I'm thinking that she's going to say, "Okay, you stand up there, I'll stand over here, and you can watch." And she says, "Go over to that drawer right there and find a pair of gloves that'll fit you." I'd say the extra large ones will. So I go over there, dutifully, and do what she's telling me. I pull on a pair of gloves. Okay. And then I'm figuring she's going to maybe hand the baby to me after it comes out. And then she says, "Okay, you're going to sit right here." And there's a stool sitting right there. And she says, "This is the catcher's position." And I used to be a catcher when I played baseball in high school for a little while. I was off and on catcher. And so I just, I was committed then. I sat down. I didn't know what to expect. I had a mask on, and here she came. And what do? You just put your hand up there, and then, okay. Whoa, look at that. That wasn't hard. Jill, you all right? Hey, look at this. And then the cord and everything. And I said, "Can you reach my Leatherman?" And anyway, no, she put a thing on it, and then I snipped and then handed the baby to the other nurse. Her name was Andrea. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget the way she looks too. And Dorothy's like 21 now, right? And that was the one I was telling you about, that after it was all over, Andrea, the midwife left. So after the baby came and we got her all cleaned up and everything and gave her to mom and standing around having a shot of whiskey, the midwife left. And so me and Andrea were there, and she showed me how to wrap the baby up and all that stuff, making a baby burrito. I'll never forget that. And then she said, well, my shift's over, so I guess we'll see you. And I said, okay, well, we're going to be here one more night, so I guess we'll see. Oh, no, I'm on a 72, so I won't be back, but you guys will be gone. And I was like, huh, we'll probably see you around, right? Around town. It felt weird because we'd just gone through this thing, and it was not, I won't say traumatic, but it was big. It was a big thing for me. And although she was our third child, this was the one that I delivered, and I didn't really do anything. Jill delivered her. I just caught her. I mean, if I didn't catch her, she probably would have fallen on the deck. But she had a bungee. She'd have been all right. But it was a pretty big deal. I thought about that a lot for a long time. And then I really wanted to deliver the next child, which was Keith, and I did. But we had a very reluctant midwife to allow me. But maybe she didn't like my attitude. Maybe I was like, I can do this. I can do it with one eye closed. And then the next one was all me. Yeah, that was Rachel, and she was born in the living room here. And that's quite the story. I have been accused of embellishing this story a little bit, but I assure you I did not embellish the story. But me and the midwife were sitting at the kitchen table, again, talking about cattle. And about then, Jill signaled that, hey, it's about time to get moved into position. And she didn't make it. And then there was a splash, and there's a lot of unclarity, but I distinctly remember diving over the couch and sliding about 4 feet, and my hand got there just in time as Rachel's head was about to contact the floor. I distinctly remember that. And then with my other hand, I eased my wife back into the rocking chair, and I took the baby gently into my hands. And it was a perfect delivery. I don't know. Very well done, I thought. My kids don't like to hear that story anymore. I can't understand why. Let's think about that. You're number 7, Justin, a basic electrical class at the Tribe Day. That's not a bad idea. There should be, okay, Ballistic got something wise to say here. There should be an anyone can farm corridor from Michigan to the Gulf of Mexico, with acres farmstead supplying food stops along the route. I-69 corridor. Sean says, now you're talking. Now, Nancy's got a little thing up there, and she's saying like this, like, you don't like my story? Ballistic saying, yes, an electrical class, anyone can fry. They're doing it in Brazil. Yeah, Nancy, I use solar. I've used it for years. opinion, you're going to spend about $300 for a fencer, a good one. I showed you the one that I had. They don't make them anymore, as far as I know. It switched over to a different outfit. I got this one at Tractor Supply. It was about $300. I showed it. I brought it home here and showed it, and it's really working good. But you know, they're real nice because you don't need a power cord to it. You don't have to fool around with batteries. Set them and forget them. If you buy what you want it for is one with the battery capacity that once it's loaded, then with no sun for 30 days, it will still recharge the capacitor, right? Mine work really good. My old ones were about 10 years old when I retired them. I put new batteries in them, but it didn't wake them up. So I let them go. I figure after 10 years, they really owed me nothing. You know, they rate fences in potential and they rate it in joules. But I think for us, you know, what I tell people is get the best one that you can afford. You know, if you figure you can afford $100, you're not going to get much of a fencer. But when you get in the $300 range, you're going to get a really nice one. Bryce is with us. Right on, man. I was over in your neck of woods the other day. Nicole Saltzman. Schoolie is a great idea. They last forever. Yeah. I see some of these that have Justin's on it. I see some of these that have like 60,000 miles on them. And, you know, those engines are rated way out there. And why do school districts turn buses over at 120,000? Because they can, you know, they don't want to work on them. So they just sell them and they sell them for nothing. I mean, those things new are extremely expensive, but they're subsidized. Always welcome in Metamore. Where is that? Michigan? Nicole, where is that? You got. And then Andy, we stopping way back from Texas. We did. And if it were not for a certain guy with a toothache, it sounded good then. Ballistic, yeah, see transport buses often are route rides. I know that. And I had this conversation with Sarah, actually, whether we're going to get a pusher or a puller. And for me, all right, what I would like to do, Justin, check me out on this, but I would like to build a deck off the back of the bus and just build it out of like 2-inch angle iron and just weld in some expanded steel on it. So it wouldn't be a place to ride or anything. It would just be a place where you could put equipment. A lot of times if you go someplace in a camper and you get it set up, like let's say we're staying on somebody's farm and conducting a class, and once it's set up and it's, hey, we're out of milk. Okay, break the school bus down so we can go get some milk. No, on the back, I think it'd be nice to just have a motorcycle up there that you could hoist off. And I'd also like to have on the back there, I'd like to have a vise and then a toolbox that's locked, you know, with tools in it so you can make on the, also like a hoist, right? So if we go someplace to do a hog harvest and they have no means of lifting, we would have it. We would have it right on the bus. And that hoist could double as a way to lift the motorcycle up onto the deck. And that way you have a rear entrance up to the bus, not just through the doors in the front. All right, Luann's with us. Where you been? I wanted a schoolie. I drove to Traverse City BAT school till it retired. Oh, beta bus. I drove for, oh, you did. Okay. Till I retired. Oh, till you retired. Okay. All right. Yeah, so it's sounds like it's an idea that people like. You can charge a fee for pictures. You bet. Oh man, charge everything. Great story. Thank you. Beta would drive buses for up to 300,000 miles. Beta is an acronym for Bay Area Transit Authority. And it was a crazy, crazy thing, I thought, in my opinion. But they do the same thing in Canada. Is they will drive all the way out here and pick people up if you are, poor, if you don't make enough money, and they'll pick you up and take you into Cadillac. All right, Flint. Okay, Nicole, you live in Michigan there. All right, along I-69. All right, we got a place to stay. That's one place. We could stay up at Luann's up in Buckley. Vindicti, keep an eye on Gov Deals for cheap bus auctions. Gov Deals, huh? Yeah, my thing was I do not have the time with keeping the farm alive to do a retrofit on a bus at this point. I do not have that kind of time. We have several build outs to do this summer, and a bus cannot be one of them. It can't. And so I'm just going to, my wife did not like the idea of one more project. So when I got to looking at them, there's a lot of really nice schoolies that people have put their hearts into. And they almost want to tell you the whole story. Well, we lived in it for this many years while we're building our house. We took it on 2 more trips out to Nevada and 1 to here and then back. And, we're just not using it. So we've decided it's time for it to go down the road. And you see these beautiful buses that they've really done a nice work on. And they're not very expensive. I mean, our money would be safe in that bus. Whereas if you buy a motorhome, it's sort of like buying a car. It devalues very quickly. Vindicti, I almost got a bus in Michigan from there, but found one in Ontario. Oh, okay. Another Canadian. If I had a bus right now, I think I'd be driving it. No, I don't think I would. If I really liked it, I don't think I'd want to do that. The straight poop on a lot of these trucks, they're going into Ottawa, and the keys are coming out of them and going in the river because the truckers, they're not that tied to them. They don't really own them. They make payments on them. And the companies that own them, there's always been kind of a little problem between the truckers and the owners and the financiers. Oh, okay. You're in Arkansas. Well, there we go. I mean, we went through an hour talking about nothing. I came to you tonight feeling a little down in the mouth about what's going on. But what did we do? We looked forward to something else. I must tell you that this book that I got from Honey Kafina is outstanding. When I finish it, I'm going to bring it in here and start showing off. But it's an outstanding book about planting trees. And what I have come to learn is you should plant trees every year. And even if you don't plant them on your own property, just plant trees. It's a good thing to do. If we put, let's say, some of the bright young minds that want to be into agriculture and the intellectual end of it, which nothing wrong with that. They're just being bastardized. If we put their bright young minds on this type of agriculture, they could be doing huge things, and you're building crops that come back year after year and are not fragile like grain crops, like the cereal crops. These tree crops are very, very almost permanent in a way. They're susceptible to tornadoes and stuff, but we could be living in a land of absolute abundance if agriculture were approached from that point of view. The way it's approached now is, let's do it this way so this organization can capitalize on it, and this one can build the equipment to do it, and then here's how we house everything, and instead of spreading it out so everybody can do well. But you can't legislate that. You can't legislate fairness. You just have to do it. You have to just be fair. That's part of Anyone Can Farm. Is this whole thing was given to us so we could live in abundance, and greed was not part of the equation, but it's crept in, and part of Anyone Can Farm is undoing that greed. And they haven't had to be overtly greedy in a lot of years because they've kept so much information from people, and agriculture is not taught in schools. That's for the farmers to do. We're going to teach you in school how to be subservient. That's what we teach, and how to be, I don't know. Well, their idea of fair is not fair. It's fair to them, but not fair to mankind. It's fair to like special interest type groups, but not fair to everyone. And so it just gets everybody's fur up in the back. But anyway, Vindicti Mung Mine is now focused agriculture thanks to inspirations like you. All right. That's a nice thing to say. And hey, look who's with us. Hug-a-Bug is with us. I'm interested to see what's happening down there in Virginia. But you know what? You ought to think about coming up here for the Tribe Day. Oh, well, I'm on that. The Tribe Day is going to be July 9th. That's a Saturday. And what we did last year is we let people come in afternoon on Friday. And we're actually having a planning meeting this Saturday. Last year we had the planning was all done via phone, but both families that help plan with Jill and me, they're going to come here Saturday. And so we're going to spend from noon until, through evening meal, planning this out. And yeah, I think it could be a big thing. Okay, Jeremy, you're going to be in Virginia in a few days. I guess we ought to make contact, but you're going to be settling in, I suppose. Okay. Another thing that I need to tell you about is we have a charcuterie class going on March 5th and 6th. And right now it looks like there's 3 seats available. It's a 2-day class. When you get here for this, the pigs are already slaughtered. They're already cut in, sliced right down the middle and laid out on the trailer. They will have cooled for the night. And we dig right in on breaking them down into primals. And the purpose of this course is to deep dive or dive deeper into charcuterie. And the way it looks right now, actually, this is charcuterie 1.0, and it looks like there's going to be a charcuterie 2.0, because as we go deeper, our headlights out and see, hey, there's more. And I think there's more out beyond that too. So we'll see. But as we go, we sort of break the trail and then say, hey, let's build a curriculum and then turn a bunch of other people onto it. Another thing that's happening, we learned this down in Texas, actually. When we conduct a class, our focus is to transfer that information to the group of people that has come to receive it. And they want to receive it so they have it, so they can utilize it. But now we have people that are saying, hey, I wouldn't mind teaching that. I would like to add that actually as a facet to my operation and be conducting it and teaching it, just like you guys do. I'm like, great, that's good, because the footprint's going to get bigger quicker that way. It's sort of like that that redundancy thing. You know, let's say I have a toothache and I can't teach it. This guy can handle it. You know, we do that in the military. We're always training our replacement. You know, this guy that's right below me, I'm training him to do this job. And the guy that's here above me, he's training me to do his job. Rotate out back to wherever, and I'm doing his job. So it's always that. You don't want anybody's position to be dominated by just them. It's almost kind of dangerous sometimes if you have somebody that's been someplace for too long. And I had a tendency to do this. I would clean up a process and make it better. And then I didn't want anybody fooling with it, you know. But that was incorrect, and I was called on that several times. Like, no, you're going to have to teach this, right? So that's what we want to do with the Anyone Can Farm program. I mean, I don't think it's just like a fun hobby. I think it is vital to national security. I do. Food security is American security. And this choke point that's been put in place by our friends at the Department of Agriculture, I don't know if they've done it, but they've facilitated it for sure. Whenever there's a choke point put in, somebody's getting ready to squeeze it. That's just the way it is, right? Whenever you see somebody installing a choke point, they plan on choking it. So when we know their intentions choking the food off, for the children, right? For the good of the I get it. Yeah, you want to help us. I know. Food safety, right? That's your intention of the choke point. Food safety. That's right. Yes. I should have known. But when they're installing a choke point, we're busy building an expansion. We're breaking the walls down. That's what we're doing. And we're the informal group. You know, I can say whatever I want in here. Luckily for the First Amendment, I say what I want. If there's going to be reprisal, hey, it better be good. You know, you better be good. Right? That's all I can say. But everything that I'm saying, I stand behind, and I don't think I'm hurting any of your all's feelings saying it. You met Scott McKay, huh? Hey, what's going on with Scott McKay? I heard something that somebody in that circle passed away here recently. Luann, what's going on? I listened to Scott McKay for a long time. I haven't heard him in a very long time. Oh, Nicole, wow. Where is that card? Nicole, I hold up your card all the time. I've read it. I didn't recognize your last name. It's here someplace. All right. I'm so sorry, but we have a lot of people come through. You know, yeah, Kirsten W. I didn't really like her, but she was putting a serious slam on Juanito, and then she winds up room temperature. Yeah, Kirsten. I didn't really like her. I could not listen to her. She was hard to listen to. Nicole says, your hog harvest class was so great and helpful. We were able to help out friends who had their hogs butchered but not processed any further. Hey, that's good. That's great. I mean, victory right there. Victory. When we teach a class and the people go home and do the thing, that's a victory right there, right? Because we live by, if you do the thing, you will have the power. If you do not do the thing, you surely will not have the power. I'm glad you're still in touch with us, Nicole. I am glad. I wish we could do that class over again. That was fun. It was a good group. We had a nice time. I wish we could bring everybody, you know. Last year, I think we figured we put 50 people through homestead last year. And it, you know, I don't feel as though we're doing something like the shotgun approach. I don't. I try not to do that. I try to be really focused on every student. That's why we only do 12 at a time. I don't think that you can do a class like that with, say, 50 people in the class and everybody gets to watch. You know, that's not, that wouldn't do it for me. But with 12 people, 2 hogs, so we get 4 halves. So three-man teams or 3-person teams or 3 woo-man teams. Everybody gets their hands on and gets enough experience that you get over that tipping point where you say, okay, I'm ready to try this. I'm ready to do this on my own. And through the whole thing, we're saying, of course you can do this. Look what you've already done. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. And people say to me, you know, I don't know if I can do the shoot. I said, okay, well, let's move over here. We'll get this hog's head drawn out on a paper. Have you ever shot a gun? Well, yeah, cans and stuff. Okay, well, we're going to pace it off 10 yards, and there's that picture of a hog right there, and now you've got to put that bullet right in here. Can you do that? Boop. Yeah, you can. All right. If you do that, and you do that right, so yeah, I think that of the 50 that went through, it wasn't like planting a whole bunch of seeds. I think it was very focused, and I believe that the harvest out of that was probably pretty good. Oh, Ballistic, you're into her too, huh? She didn't respect America. Yeah. She's Chinese, you know. I got a good Chinese story now that I said that. One time when there was just 4 kids in the family, the 2 middle boys were not too far apart, you know, and they were just attentive and looking at everything. And we lived out in Montana, and we went to a Chinese restaurant, and we said to them, hey, you guys want to go to a Chinese restaurant? Yeah, well, what's a Chinese restaurant? Oh, it's like people that are from China, they come over here and they start up a restaurant and they serve Chinese food. And the kids were like, they were little. They were like 5 and 3 probably. And Joe was 5. Kyle was older and he had a better grasp of what was going on. But when we went in there and then they'd see these people coming over to the table, be like looking at them and just studying these because they were Chinese or something. And it was a big deal, you know. They get the fortune cookie at the end, and it's just all Chinese music playing and everything. And oh, we love going to Chinese restaurants. It's the greatest. And so about a year later, we went to the same place, but when Jill's parents came out to visit, and we were going in, And my son Joe says to Jill's father, "Grandpa, this place is great. They got real Chinese people." Yeah, so I just thought that was funny. Real Chinese people. So we haven't done it in years, but if we were to go to a Chinese restaurant, uh, before we went in, if he recommends we go to a Chinese restaurant, I will always say, "Well, do these people," because if they don't have real Chinese, of course, anymore, I don't know. Nicole, it was a great class, and we harvested one of our hogs in the meantime. We were successful. I wouldn't say it was fun, though. Killing will never be fun. We used a bolt gun. Yeah. How did that go? When I've done that, I haven't liked it. I haven't felt as though it was as clean as with a rifle. Although I think you were in the class where I had that little problem. I had two Army Special Forces guys in the class, and being an Air Force guy, I was a little, and I felt like I was being watched, like I was going to make it, and sure enough, I did. A bolt gun, for you guys who don't know what it is, it's a device that you actually put a blank cartridge in, and it's got a trigger on it. And when the blank cartridge goes off, it's got a bolt that looks actually like a bolt, no threads on it, that is retained by a spring. However, it will come out from the end of it and then go back in. It does it really quickly, and you hold it like right here in between the eyes of the pig, which is really nice if he'll stand still. But a lot of times they don't. And what happens is you put it on his head, and just as you're going to pull, he'll move away, and loud noise, and you'll hit him in the ear or something, and away they go. So people wind up restraining them. And as soon as you restrain an animal, they go into the fight or flight. And that is the adrenaline release that we're trying to avoid. So with a bullet, they don't know it's coming until it hits them. Yeah, you remember that kill, huh? Oh boy. Was that the one with Derek's 45? Yeah. It's still near and dear to my heart. And I don't think most people would understand that. But I mean, I had met this guy, like, it was kind of weird because he was late to the class. And I knew he was military. And we have this thing amongst military people, like being late. And here it was my class, and you friggin' showed up late. And he's younger than me. And I, the old part of me would have been definitely outranked him. I know I outranked him, and I would have had a problem with him showing up to my class a little bit late. Big problem, right? But we're civilians now, and none of that applies. So I just, welcome to our class, Derek. And then we go out to do the kill, and here's me, the expert. I only had one cartridge in my gun, and it had a clip on the bottom of it, or a magazine that would hold 20 or 15 M1 carbine. And these are special forces people, and that's just like a rule. You don't run out of ammo. I mean, you definitely don't want to hear that click noise. And my first shot was bad, and then I didn't have a second shot. I only had one round in the gun in front of these two special forces guys. And I turned around, and Derek handed me a 45. And he says, "That ain't charged. Do you know how to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." Boom. But it's not very often that somebody hands you a loaded weapon that you've only met 15 minutes prior. That just doesn't really happen. And so it was actually kind of touching. It was touching. Anyway. Such are the days of our lives. All right, I'm going to get going. Tomorrow night's going to be our open line. Like I said, maybe we'll be cutting it short because my son Sam will be home, but maybe not. We'll see. Appreciate everybody coming by. I appreciate all the thumbs ups and Justin's enthusiasm for the bus. It looks like it's a winner. One of my favorite lines of all time was from the movie Kelly's Heroes, where this guy by the name of Oddball, he's kind of a hippie, and he says, "So many positive waves, maybe we can't lose. You're on." Donald Sutherland. All right. Great. Thanks a lot, you guys. You really lifted my spirits. I had a good time. Get out there and get after it. Anyone can farm right now.